Hi, my name's Chris from Mangahigh and I'm going to be doing the live maths lesson for you today. First thing you need to do is get logged into your Mangahigh account. If you've forgotten your password or you don't have a Mangahigh account, you can create one by just going to the link that's underneath where your video is streaming. So if you come out of full screen and click on the link there, then you can create a login. The other thing you need to do before you start is have a pen and paper ready so you could do any rough working. So in a moment you need to pause your video, get logged into Mangahigh, and then get pen and paper ready and restart your video. So pause your video now. Okay, so when you try a Mangahigh activity, you're trying to get a bronze medal. When you get a bronze medal, that means that you completely understand the topic. Now every time you have one go, you'll do 10 questions, and it takes most people 3 goes before they pass and get a bronze medal. So whatever you do, don't give up on your first couple of attempts. If you end up with a silver or a gold medal, that means you've done even better than the teacher expects. So remember, bronze is good and you can be very happy with that. If you get silver or gold, well, even better. So now I'm going to look at some questions for the topic that we're going to be looking at today. And this topic is called Factorise using a common term. So we're going to be doing something called factorising. Now, before we do factorising, you're going to have to do expanding. And expanding is actually the opposite of factorising. So when you expand something, you multiply out the brackets. You can see the m add 8 inside the bracket, and the 3, which is multiplying the things inside the bracket. The number 3 multiplies the m, and 3 times m is just written as 3m. But the number 3 also multiplies the number 8, or plus 8 if you like. And 3 8s are 24, so we add 24. And that has expanded it. If I was asked to factorise this expression here, so suppose I had to factorise 3m plus 24, the answer would be 3 brackets m add 8. So factorising takes something and puts it back into brackets. That's what factorising is. Let's look at some more questions. This one says true or false. 2x is a common factor of 2x and 6x. What we're asking is 2x inside 2x, and is 2x inside or part of 6x? Another way to ask this is there something you can times 2x by to make 2x, and is there something you can times 6x by, or rather times 2x by to make 6x? Well, there is. 1 times 2x makes 2x, and 3 times 2x makes 6x. So 6x and 2x have a common factor. 2x is part of each of them. So is 2x a common factor? Yes, it goes into 2x once and it goes into 6x 3 times. So the answer is true. 2x is a common factor of both of these terms. Let's look at this next question. This is asking you, is 5x a common factor of 22a and 25a? Well, if I want to make 25a, I can certainly make that by doing 5a multiplied by 5. So 5a is a factor of 25a, and 5 is a factor as well. But if I wanted to make 22a, and we only use whole numbers when we're factorising, we're not going to use decimals or fractions. If I do 5a, I can't times by a whole number to make 22a. So 5a is a factor of 25a, but it's not a factor of 22a. So the answer is false. Let's look at some more questions before you start and have your own go. Now, this is a full question. This is asking you to factorise. Now, if you want to factorise in algebra, you've got to spot what's the common factor or what number or letters are inside 7a and also inside 28. There's something multiplied together to make 7a and there's some things multiplied together to make 28, and you're looking for the thing that's inside both of them. Well, if you think of 7a as 7 times a, and you think of 28 as 7 times 4, you can see that the number 7 is inside 28 because it's 7 times 4, and it's inside 7a because it's 7 times a. So the common factor is 7. So I'll just write that out again here. 7a add 48 equals, now I'll write down the common factor first of all. That's the 7. That's the bit that's inside here and the bits that's inside the 48 as well. Sorry, not 48. 28. So I write down the 7, the common factor. Then I need to think about what would I need to times by if you expanded it to make 7a? Well, that would be a. And what would you need to times 7 by if you expanded it to make 28? And that's 4. So I've now factorised it. I've put it into brackets. And you can see the correct answer is this one just here. So that's what factorising is. It's finding the common factor, what's in 7a that's also in 28, writing it down, and then putting a bracket afterwards so that when you multiply it out, you get the same answer. I'm going to look at 2 more questions and then it's going to be your chance to practice. So let's look about factorising this. 24x take away 6y. Try to think of something that's inside both of these. Well, what goes into 24 that also goes into 6? Well, 2 goes into both of them, but there's a bigger number than 2. Also, 6 goes into both of these, and when you factorise, you always use the largest number that you can that's a factor of both. So 6 goes into 24 and 6 goes into 6. So I'll just leave the 6 outside. That's pulled the number 6 out of this and pulled a 6 out of this. Then I've got to think about what goes next. Well, I need to make 24, so I'll need to have 4 and the x so that it makes 24x when you times it out. Take away y. And if you times this out, that makes 6y, which is what I need. So now I have the right answer. I can see it's this option just here. One more question on factorising and then it's going to be your chance to practice. Let's look at this one here. This is a bit tougher. We've got 9b squared and 2b. Well, let's just write that out a bit bigger over here. 9b squared add 2b. Let's think about what 9b squared means. It means 9 times b times b. And then 2b just means, of course, 2 times b. What's the common factor? Common to this term and common to this term. Well, it's not the number. There's no number that goes into 2 and goes into 9 except 1, and we don't want to use a number 1. It's the letter b itself. Notice there's a b here and there's of course a b just here. So the common factor is actually, this time it's a letter. It's the letter b. So the b goes outside the bracket. And then I have to think about what I must times b by to make this first term 9b squared. Well, the answer is 9b. If you times b by 9b, you make 9b squared. And the second bit, I just need a 2, so that when you times that, you get 2b. Now I can see the correct answer must be this option just here. So it begins by spotting that the common factor in both terms is the letter b, and then you can complete it from there. So you now need to have a go at this activity. So if you exit the full screen and look at the second link just underneath where your video is streaming, it says topic today. You need to click on that link. If you click on that link, it'll take you straight to the activity. So in a moment, you need to pause the video, try this activity at least 3 times, have 4 goes if you want. Try to get a bronze medal if you can. It takes most people about 15 minutes to get a medal, so don't give up on your first few goes. And then when you've had a few goes, restart your video, and then I'll go through some questions for us to finish up for today. Okay, good luck, and pause your video now. Okay, so hopefully you had a good go at that, and if you got a medal, well done. So let's look at some questions for you to try on paper. You can try one of these, two of these questions, or if you have time, try all three of them. Here's a normal question to start with. Try to factorize this expression here. Then there's a harder question. Try and factorize this expression if you can. And then there's a strange question to finish with. First of all, factorize this, and hence, or using what you've just done, write this in its simplest form, this fraction just here. If you can do that, then my question is, what is the value of the expression when x is equal to 4? See if you can find the value of that expression when x is equal to 4. Okay, so good luck. In a moment, pause your video, try the questions, and when you've tried them, restart the video and I'll go through the answers for you. Good luck. Pause your video now. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the answers. So we need to factorize. First, you need to look for the common factor. What goes into 12x and goes into 8? Well, 2 goes into 12 and 8, but they're a bigger number as well. 4 goes into 12 and 8, and that's the biggest number that goes into both of these terms. So I'll write that term down first, the common term, then put a bracket, and imagine what I was times 4 by to make 12x. Well, that's 3x. And then what do I times 4 by to make 8? Well, that's 2. And now I have factorized. 4, open brackets, 3x plus 2, and close brackets. If you can do that, well, then you've learnt the basics of factorizing. What about this question here? Now, this is tougher. If you can do this one, then you're really becoming an expert at factorizing. I need to look for the common term that's in both. Well, the number 2 is in both, and 3 is in both of them, but also 6 is in both. So 6 is the biggest number that's a factor of 12 and a factor of 6, but that's not the only factor. Also, the letter x is a factor of both these terms. So in fact, the biggest factor is 6x. So you actually take out the factor 6x from both of these terms and then put your bracket. Now you must imagine what you must times 6x by to make 12x squared. It's 2x. 6 times 2 makes the 12, and x times x makes the x squared. Then it's easy to forget the bit to put on the end. It looks like maybe there's a 0 on the end because you've taken the 6x out, but it isn't. It's the number 1. You have to put a 1 on the end, otherwise the 6x will disappear. 6x times 1 makes 6x, and so this is the answer. Now let's look at this last question. Now this is a little bit of an unusual question. First step is to factorize this expression. The biggest factor of this, what goes into 24 and goes into 6x, it's 6. 6 goes into both of them. So I'll take the 6 and factorize. So that's factorized with a 6 on the outside. Now, and that's the same as 24 minus 6x. They're the same thing. I've just factorized it, that's all. Now, I'm supposed to take this fraction here and write it in its simplest form. Well, the top bit of the fraction, the numerator, I can actually write using this factorized form that I've just worked out. That's the top of the fraction. And then the bottom of the fraction doesn't change. There it is. Now, one thing you can see now is that the top part of the fraction has a 4 minus x in it, and the bottom part of the fraction has a 4 minus x in it. And you can cancel things on fractions. You can cancel the top with the bottom. If you've got the same term at the top and bottom, you can actually cancel. So the 4 minus x at the top actually cancels with the 4 minus x at the bottom and leaves the answer 6. So the answer is actually just the number 6. The final part of the question says, what's the value of the expression when x equals 4? Well, it doesn't actually seem to matter what x is. The answer was 6. So the value of the expression, whatever value you have for x, it's always 6. Now, you might think that's quite straightforward, but actually there's something very weird about this question, and I'll put it just in the corner here. If you don't simplify this fraction, and you don't use the factorising, and you try and put in the number x equals 4, you'll get this. 24, take away 6 times 4, I'm just doing the top of the fraction, divided by 4 minus 4. And if you work that out, you actually get 0 divided by 0. Now 0 divided by 0 actually doesn't have an answer. If you try it on your calculator, it will say error or undefined, or if you Google and say what is 0 divided by 0, it will say there is no answer. So if you don't simplify, you don't get an answer. It's impossible. But if you simplify using factorization, you get the answer easy. It's just the number 6. So mathematics can be quite surprising when it gives you answers like this. Okay, that's everything for today. I'm going to be doing more live lessons this week, and you can also catch all of the other lessons from the last few weeks by going to the playlist of your age group on the Mangahigh YouTube channel. So, thanks for listening. I hope that helped a little bit with your algebra and with your factorising. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.